Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Goosebumps Podcast Can Be Murder. Today I'm joined with three of my co-hosts. I have Brandon Sime.
Hello.
I've got the Grinch / Ace Ventura.
Hello.
Although today he's Captain Hook.
Arg.
And last but not least, I've got an otaku life for me, also known as Josh.
Peter Pan. Oh my god.
Listen, to be fair, his name is an otaku life for me, which is a play on a pirate's life for me, which is a play on One Piece. It fits.
Yeah.
Love him or hate him, Brandon. He's legal.
That's true.
All right.
That's true.
So before we get canceled here, we're going to be reading a Give Yourself Goosebumps book as a group. Here are the rules as states. Because we're not all reading it and giving our own stories, we're going to go off a life system. There are 4 of us, meaning we have 4 lives. We will not make a decision in the book until we have a group vote. At this point, there's 4 of us, so we need at least a 3 out of 4 vote to have a decision made. If we can't get to a 3 out of 4 vote and we get to a tiebreaker, Brian will flip a coin to break said tie.
Yes.
Any questions or concerns?
None.
All right. Well then, let's get into Give Yourself Goosebumps number 3, Trapped in Batwing Hall. Beware, do not read this book from beginning to end. Making friends in your new town is harder than you thought. The kids in your school are members of the Horror Club. They have their meetings after dark in Batwing Hall, a rundown house that's haunted by the ghost of Professor Crumpnick. When the Horror Club decides to play a spooky game, you really want to join in, but then you find out you'll have to search for the professor's cursed crypt in the cemetery, or face an ancient mummy, a witch, and a hungry werewolf, or the terrifying ghost of Professor Crumpnick himself. Before the night is through, you're in control of this scary adventure. You decide what will happen, and you decide how terrifying the scares will be. Start on page 1, then follow the instructions at the bottom of each page. You make the choices. If you make the right ones, you'll have a really cool adventure. If you make the wrong choices, beware. And this is all in caps, so I feel like I have to yell it. So take a deep breath, cross your fingers, and turn to page 1, and give yourself goosebumps. For those of us who are on the PDF, we see that, once again, it is the newer Goosebumps logo, but they did that when they re-released all these PDFs for the movie hype in 2015. How about this? Who wants the first character assigned here after I start reading? Because it looks like somebody named Nick is in this.
I'll do it.
This town stinks. It's Friday afternoon, the end of your first week of your new school. Your family just moved to this town last month, and as far as no one at school has even tried to be your friend. Day after day, you sit in class waiting for someone to talk to you, waiting and staring at all the strange faces around you. How can you possibly go through the year without any friends, you wonder? You're cool. You know you are. You had tons of friends at your old school. You trudge home slowly. All you have to look forward to is a boring weekend of watching TV with your parents and your bratty little brother. Then something hits you on the back of your jacket. You twirl around. A pebble drops on the ground. You glance up and notice a brown-haired boy about your own age.
He goes up, Nick.
Hi, you reply and introduce yourself.
We're in the same class at school, Nick says.
That's funny, you think. You don't remember seeing him there, but you smile anyway. You're so happy someone is finally talking to you.
I live there.
Nick tells you. He points to a 2-story greenhouse on the next block. You gaze at him shocked. But you can't live there, you exclaim. There's no way. Everyone turn to page 2, but before we do, Josh, did this page match up with yours?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, because in the last book, they had changed, like, the reason that the family was in New York, which Grinch called that out, which props to you, Grinch. That's a shout out.
Thank you.
So the next character who's not Nick, who wants to be them?
I'll be fine.
The next character that pops up that is not Nick will be you, okay, Grinch?
Okay. What do you mean I can't live there?
Nick asks, laughing.
I know my own house.
I live next door, you tell him. You point to the red brick house next to the green one.
The house has been empty all month. I was on vacation with my family. We got back last night. Anything in school?
Okay, I guess, you reply. You're afraid to say anything more. You never know. Maybe this kid Nick actually likes school.
Can you believe how much homework our teacher gave us this weekend? Nick complains.
He kicks a stone down the street as you walk.
Can you believe how much homework our teacher gave us this weekend? Nick complains. All the kids who had Mr. Cormac last year says he's really tough and mean and a total monster.
You agree. The next thing you know, you and Nick are comparing your favorite rock groups and comic books. Both of you collect Spider-Man comics. Nick has the first issues from the last 5 years, too.
That's pretty chill. I like this kid already. This kid's got good taste.
Like, comics are cool, Nick says, but do you know what's even cooler?
What? You ask.
Horror stories, Nick exclaims. In fact, he stops talking and stares at you.
All right, next page, page 3. What, you ask? What about horror stories?
It's probably way too scary for you, Nick replies.
Nothing's too scary for me, you boast.
That's because you've never been to the horror club, Nick says.
What's that?
Nick grins. It's a club I belong to. You have to be really brave to be a member. When we meet, we tell spooky stories, really scary.
Cool, you reply. I love scary stories. Can I join?
If you think you can handle it, Nick says. We meet every Friday at night at the Batwing Hall. That's the deserted house at the end of the dead of our street. It was old Professor Krupnick's house.
I've seen that house. It looks haunted, you tell Nick with a laugh.
Don't laugh, he warns you. It is haunted.
All right, so we're going to jump to page 100. But before we do, guys, straight up, did R.L. Stine Jack, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Because this is what this sounds like, the Midnight Society.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
All right, so, haunted? For real, you ask?
For real, Nick replies seriously. That's why we picked it. Some of the scariest stories I've ever heard happened in the Batwing Hall.
Like what?
Like the story of kids on Halloween night, Nick says. They were all dressed up, trick-or-treating. They were ringing Krupnick's doorbell, and a figure dressed in all black answered them. The kids were invited inside, only they never came out.
What happened? You ask breathlessly.
Nobody knows, Nick replies, but at late night you can still hear the kids' screams. Horrible screams. When the moon is full, some people say they've seen little creatures in monster costumes roaming about inside the house. Trapped forever.
Wow, great story, you say.
It's not a story, Nick tells you. Being a member of the horror club can be dangerous. Very dangerous. He pauses and adds, Today's Friday. We meet tonight. Do you want to come? What do you think?
Okay, time to take a vote, guys. So we're going to start with Grinch. I'm going to read both choices, then you cast your first vote. So, first choice. Risk it and go to the horror club. Turn to page 17. Say thanks anyway and go to page 91. Grinch, what do you vote for?
Probably, let's just risk it. That'll be interesting to see.
Okay, Grinch wants to go to page 17. Josh? Josh, what do you vote for?
Page 17.
Okay, Brandon, it sounds like you've returned?
Yep.
All right, we got a choice. We got our first choice of the book here. We're going to page 17 or page 91. All right, unanimously, we're heading to page 17. The horror club sounds great, you tell Nick. Count me in.
I'll meet you in front of your house at 9 o'clock tonight, Nick says.
You agreed and say goodbye, and then you rush into your kitchen to find your parents. You tell them you made a friend, and you've been invited to a club meeting. They're so happy for you. Of course you don't tell them that the meeting is at a deserted, boarded-up old house. At 9 o'clock, you join Nick under the elm tree in your front yard. A skinny, fidgety girl with messy, long, dark hair awaits with Nick. Josh, you're going to read this, but before we go that farther, Grinch, are you okay with being Debbie, or do you want Brandon to be Debbie?
I could be Debbie if you want. It don't matter.
You're pretty enough to be Debbie.
I can riz up the ladies.
We'll give Grinch the choice. Do you want to be Debbie, or do you want Brandon to be Debbie?
I think I'll be the ghost, so I think you'll be Debbie.
Okay, Brandon, so Debbie, it's your Debbie.
We do get
Debbie.
All right, so we're gonna pick back up like Josh just said. 3, 2, 1.
This is Debbie, he tells you. She's a member of the club too. Hi.
Debbie says. You can barely see her face under all that thick hair, and she always seems to be squirming about. You wonder what's up with this strange girl. You follow your new friend up to the hill at the end of the long, dark street. The farther you go, the fewer houses there are, and at the end of the road, all the streetlights are out. The sky is pitch black. If it weren't for Nick's flashlight, you'd probably trip over your own feet.
There it is, Nick says, pointing at Wing Hall.
Turn to page 96.
I got coins.
I love this, guys. I'm really glad, let me just pause real quick. I'm really glad we came back to do this, because I know for a long time we talked about reviving the Goosebumps podcast, but I'm glad we did.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Page 96. A huge dark shadow looms at the end of the street. It's the mansion. You stop walking and gaze up at it. Nick shines his flashlight at the old house on the hill. Batwing Hall is a 2-story old-fashioned house. All the windows that aren't boarded up are broken. Loose shingles flap from the roof. Paint peels from the weathered sides of the house. It looks as if no one's lived here for 100 years. You climb up the sagging porch with Nick and Debbie. Tall, overgrown trees and brushes cast eerie shadows across the deserted lawn.
This place awesome.
Debbie whispers to you. Really cool, you agree?
This house has been empty for 2 years, Nick tells you, ever since crazy old Professor Krupnik died.
No one will buy it because it's haunted.
Debbie explains. You notice she's chewing nervously at the ends of her long hair. Yuck!
Okay, the front door was boarded up until we figured out how to pry it open.
Debbie says. She points to the large wooden door.
Let's go.
You take a step forward.
Ah!
Nick shouts.
Nick shouts, get down now!
Time to take a vote, starting with Grinch. We have 2 choices. If you do as Nick says, hurry to page 19. If you ignore him and head for the door, go to page 85. Grinch?
I think we should do what Nick says.
Oh, that's crazy, though. I didn't know you were the Grinch.
Oh, I didn't hear the Grinch, my bad.
Yeah, I think we definitely should listen to Nick.
All right, 2 votes for Nick. Brandon, before you say anything, all I'm going to say is this. If Nick was trying to make you look bitch-made in front of the group, this is how he'd do it. I want to just put that out there. Brandon, what do you think?
I let fate decide, and it picked page 19, so...
All right, you know what? I'm not going to fight you guys. Page 19 it is. Page 19. What is it? You cry as your body hits the ground.
We gotta be careful, Nick whispers. If anyone catches us going in the front door, we could be in big trouble. We're not really allowed in here.
You nod and watch Debbie as she squirms and glances around nervously. You wonder why your new friends are so jumpy. You can't imagine how anyone could possibly see you in the darkness, but you figure Nick and Debbie know what they're doing. You stand and follow Nick and Debbie across the porch, keeping as quiet as possible. You pull off the broken boards of the front door. You enter the dark house. The air in the entryway is stale and dusty. You hold back a sneeze. Nick motions for you to follow him. Then you enter a big, dimly lit living room. A broken chandelier sways from the ceiling. The faded wallpaper hangs in pieces from the walls. Dirty sheets cover what appear to be old sofas and chairs, and then you see them. Turn to page 75. 4 kids sit in a circle on the living room floor. A big yellow candle flickers at the center. They all turn at you and stare. No one seems happy to see you. You stand awkwardly as Nick introduces you and says,
This is our newest member.
Grinch, do you want to be this voice?
What are you talking about?
Cries a girl with short curly red hair. She glares at you.
I brought a new member to the horror club, Nick repeats.
Not today.
Exclaims a large boy with bulging arm muscles.
Why not?
Debbie asks, squirming next to you.
Did anyone tell you?
Asks another girl.
Tonight's a special night. You get to get out of here. We're not telling stories tonight. The plan has changed.
Nick and Debbie quickly leave your side and huddle together with the other kids. You can hear them arguing about you. Then one voice rises above the others.
But today is game night. You know what that means?
I don't, you suddenly call out. You're sick of standing there. You want to know what's going on. It works. All 6 kids stop arguing. The girl with the red hair steps towards you.
I'm Maurice.
She tells you.
There are no stories tonight. We're playing games.
New members can't play. It's the rule.
Can't you break the rules just this one time, you ask?
This is an ordinary game.
Warns the boy with large muscles.
These games are really scary.
The scarier the better, you announce bravely. This starts another argument. Some kids want you to stay and play, others want you to leave. Debbie hurries over to your side. Through her mane of dark hair, she whispers.
Go home. Now.
But at that moment, Marcy announces.
It's decided. You can stay and play with us.
Great, you said, ignoring Debbie. What are we playing? Page 66.
The game is called The Hunt.
Marcy tells you.
I am the captain of the blue team. Nick is the captain of the red team.
You watch as Nick picks Debbie and a skinny boy named Connor to be on his team. Connor has short, bristly hair and a very strange smell. As Connor walks by, you decide he smells as if he's been lying in a dumpster. For the blue team, Marcy chooses a beautiful girl with long blonde hair and green eyes. Her name is Laura. She smiles shyly at you. Marcy also picks the guy in the muscle shirt.
Hi, I'm Martin.
The kid says, pounding you on the back.
Welcome to the horror club.
He laughs, then flexes his muscles. You step back. Martin's arm is bigger than your whole body.
There's 3 on each team.
Marcy announces.
I never can join either one.
She turns to you. It's up to you. Which team will you join? Would you rather hang out with Nick, Debbie, and Connor on the red team, or get to know Laura, Marcy, and Martin on the blue team? So, starting with Grinch, what team do you want to pick?
I feel like I gotta go with the blue team.
Josh, what do you think?
I think why it's not fixed why broke it. Next guy's in, maybe Nick will get us out. Red team.
Yeah, I feel that, dude. So, Grinch votes blue. Brandon votes what?
I'm going blue. I gotta go for my man Martin.
All right. Josh, you vote what?
Red.
I'm also going to vote red.
Could I voice Martin? Because I got a good muscle voice.
You can voice Martin. But let's flip a coin, Brandon, because I picked red, so we're 50-50 here.
Alright, coin toss.
Before Brandon tells us, hang on, before Brandon tells us, let's introduce one new rule. If you decide you don't like the choice the group has made and you want to go a different way, you can give up your life to overpower that choice. So you know how we have 4 chances to live? So instead of Josh having a chance to die, like, hey, we went the wrong way, Josh can say, I don't like that choice. I'm going to give up my life. I want to go this way. And that overrules all our votes. What do you guys think of that?
That's fair.
That's fair.
Grinch?
Makes sense.
Okay. So Brandon...
I die.
Well, essentially, instead of us having 4 chances to get to the end of the book, because the goal here as a team is to get to the end of the book, we lose 1 chance instead.
I'm going to give up one of our lives.
Well, again, that's your life you're giving up. So now we have 3 chances to get to the end of the book, and if we don't finish it, we can all blame you.
Yeah, I'm blaming you, Josh.
That's the fun of it. So, you want to give up your life and stick with Nick?
Yeah.
Grinch, I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you like that new rule? Is that too much? Talk to me, buddy.
I've been through worse rules than that, so...
That's fair.
I could deal with it.
Okay. So, Josh is going to burn out his lifeline, and we're going to go with Nick's team, which is the red team. So, turn to page 88. I choose the red team, you announce.
Fine.
Marcy says. The red team will stay in the house for the games. The blue team will go outside. See you later. Marcy, Laura, and Martin leave the house. You turn to your new teammates with a smile. You're looking forward to the games.
Glad you're on our team, Nick says. We're having a scavenger hunt. Everyone has to be found inside the house.
Cool, you reply. I love scavenger hunts. Where's the list?
Here it is.
Debbie says, handing you a piece of white paper. You can read the list of items out loud. Horror Club scavenger hunt. 1 human bone. 3 hairs from a werewolf. A straw from a witch's broom. A piece from a mummy's bandage. Turn to page 79. You read the list again. Then you start to laugh. These guys really take this horror club stuff seriously, you think. Still laughing, you point at the list. Great joke. Very funny.
Why are you laughing?
Connor demands. This list. It's a riot, you reply. You wonder why no one else has cracked even a smile.
It's not a joke.
Nick insists.
That's the list for our scavenger hunt.
Give me a break, you say. You expect me to believe that? Where would I find these things?
In this house.
Debbie replies matter-of-factly. Yeah, right, you scoff. I'm supposed to believe they're really werewolves and witches and mummies?
It's true.
Connor says.
Do you want me to prove it? Nick asks with an evil grin. A very evil grin.
Page 47. Okay, you say. Go ahead.
You asked for it.
He glances at Debbie and Connor.
What's going on, you wonder? Slowly, Nick brings his hands up to his cheeks. Oh my god. Didn't say which cheeks, guys.
He grabbed his booty cheek.
Yeah, seriously, as far as I'm concerned, he's about to show your full moon spread cheek. Slowly, Nick brings his hands up to his cheeks. He hooks his thumbs under his chin and rips his face right off. You gasp. The head of a green-skinned reptilian monster stares at you from the top of Nick's body. Slimy scales cover his face and begin to spread down his arms and hands. Nick? You choke out? The monster grins at you. With 6-inch-long fangs, its beady yellow eyes gaze at you hungrily. You turn to Debbie and Connor and scream, "Ah!" They are peeling off their kid faces too. You gape in horror at Debbie. Her skin is now purple and covered with hideous oozing warts. Her eyes have turned completely white and seem to bulge out of her head. And her hair? It's wiggling with enormous black tarantulas. Now you know the truth. These kids are monsters. Page 114. You turn and sprint for the front door, but the entrance is blocked by Connor. He grabs your shoulder and you nervously stare up at him. Way up, Connor has turned into a 7-foot-tall giant with one red eye in the middle of his forehead, and the stench coming off his body is unbearable.
Where are you going?
He growls. I need to go home, you mumble. You duck under Connor's massive arm and lunge for the doorknob and miss. The monster that used to be Nick beats you to it. Nick looks at the door and says,
No! Not so fast. It's time for the scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt? There's no way you're sticking around to play a game with monsters. Unless this is all a joke. Hey, that's it, you think? It's all a joke. They must be wearing monster costumes. No, you think. They can't be wearing monster costumes. They're way too real looking. Quick, you have to make up your mind. If you're sure it's all a joke, turn to page 13. If you believe they're monsters and are real, head to page 71. Grinch, what do you think?
Well, let's believe they're monsters right now.
Brandito?
Yeah, same.
Josh?
I'm gonna go with page 71. Believe their monsters are real.
We're going to page 71. You stare at Nick and Debbie and Connor's gruesome faces. There's no question. They're monsters. Real monsters. Let me out of here, you cry. Nick still blocks the door. You spot a window in the living room. You take a deep breath and you race for it. You're fast. You've always won the 50-yard dash at school, but against these monsters, you're not fast enough. Debbie easily beats you to the window. The tarantulas scurry through her spiderweb hair as she cackles.
There's no way out.
Please let me go home, you plead. I won't tell anyone your secret. Just let me go.
No way, Nick cries as he enters the living room.
With Connor,
There's no escape from the horror club.
Well,
Debbie says.
that's not exactly true. There is one way out.
You gaze around the room, searching frantically for an exit. The three monsters circle you. You don't see any way past them. Where is it, you ask? How do I get out? Nick glares at Debbie.
Your only hope
Debbie says, ignoring Nick.
is to play the game.
Page 48. What game, you ask Debbie, your voice trembling?
The scavenger hunt.
She declares.
Items on the list before.
Before night and against, then we'll let you go. If you fail, you'll be trapped here with us forever and turn into a monster.
Your knees shake as you review the scavenger hunt list in your mind. Where will you ever find werewolf hair and mummy bandages? Then again, you don't have any options. But maybe you think you can use this time to search for an open window and escape.
You only got 2 hours.
Connor growls, looking at the tiny watch on his huge wrist.
You better get started.
You can begin here or on the main floor or go upstairs. It's your choice.
Nick tells you, his reptile tongue darting in and out of his mouth. So is Nick a creep?
Yeah.
He might be.
Alright, so maybe he's a straight creep. Alright, we have two choices here. Stay on the main floor, turn to page 11.
If he's a creep, does that mean he listens to Radiohead then?
I love that reference, though. Good job. Alright, so we're either going to page 11 or page 111. Grinch, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'll try and look upstairs.
What did I get? What we get? We got tails. We got tails, so 111.
We're heading upstairs. Try your luck on page 111. Upstairs, you tell the monsters. I'll search there first. Connor begins to laugh. A low, deep laugh.
Did you hear that?
He tells the others.
Upstairs. That should be good.
Have you made the wrong choice, you wonder? It doesn't matter. You have to do something. You cross your fingers, and that there may be a way to escape upstairs, a way out of this house of horrors. You head towards the main staircase in the front hall. There's no electricity in the old mansion. Your shadow flickers in the spooky light of the kerosene lanterns. Debbie follows close behind you. You pick up your pace, just in case one of those huge tarantulas decides to jump from her hair to yours. The stairs are covered with a thick layer of dust. Slowly you start to climb. One step, then another. The wooden boards creak and groan under your weight. The staircase stretches upward into the total darkness. Behind you, three monsters noisily whisper to one another. You don't know what they're saying, and you don't care. You just want to get out of here. Now. You take a deep breath. It's time. Time to escape. You sprint forward to page 28. Before you go too far, you feel a strange tingling sensation all over your body. But you don't have time to worry about it. You must escape. The monsters are gaining on you. You fly up the stairs now, 2 steps at a time. Then you stop. The tingling is getting worse. Keep going, you say to yourself. You've got to keep going. The monsters are only a few steps behind you. You try to run, but you can't. Something's wrong. You're stuck in the middle of the staircase. You can't move up. Your legs are paralyzed. Nick, Debbie, and Connor close in on you. Connor's odor makes you gag, but you're trapped, frozen in place.
Need some help? Nick asks the evil snicker.
If you accept the monster's help, go to page 51. If you refuse, turn to page 61. Grinch?
I think I might go with 51, yeah.
You say you're refusing, page 61?
No, 51.
51. Okay, Brandon?
I'm gonna go 61.
Josh?
61.
I'm gonna go 51. Brandon, flip a coin. Heads 51, tails 61.
Tails.
Alright, we're going to page 61. We refuse the help. Get away, you cry to the monsters. I don't need your help. The three monsters laugh and laugh. You try to ignore them and concentrate on moving.
He doesn't get it. You hear Nick whisper to Debbie. He doesn't know he's trapped in a force field.
A force field? Oh no! You've got to find a way out, somehow. But how? You can't move forward, you can't move backward. You squeeze your eyes shut and you struggle against the invisible field, but it seems to be getting stronger. The harder you fight. Frustrated, you let your body go limp. And then you notice something. The areas where your muscles are totally relaxed aren't tingling quite so much. Maybe that's the key. Maybe the force field is activated by your fear. You flop onto the stairs, you close your eyes, and you concentrate on fun, happy things. Cake with ice cream, swimming in the ocean, playing baseball with your friends. You start to fall down the stairs. You did it! You freed yourself. You breathe a long sigh of relief, then you scramble down the stairs and return to the living room. Turn to page 11. I'm going to search the main floor, you tell the monsters.
Lots of luck, Nick sneers.
You glance around the dark, creepy mansion. You know escape is going to be tough. You decide you'll do the scavenger hunt. You'll play along with the monsters, but still search for a way out. Either way, you promise yourself you won't let them turn you into a monster. You search the living room first. A curtain of cobwebs dangles from the ceiling. You have to part them to search the room. Yuck. The only furniture in the room is an old sofa and 2 overstuffed chairs. You lift the cushions and search for the creepy things on the list. Could there really be a human bone under there? You wonder. You nearly choke from the flying dust, but no bone. You peer under the furniture. Nothing. Then Connor sneaks up on you. He kicks a dust ball in your face.
The clock is ticking.
He booms. You stare up at his one bloodshot eye and escape into the next room. It's an old-fashioned dining room. A long wooden table stands in the middle of the room. As you step toward the table, something black and hairy jumps out at you. Turn to page 97. It's a huge black rat, and it scurries across your sneaker. You jump back and scream, "Ah!" You can hear the rat's sharp claws scratch across the floorboards as it disappears into the living room. You wonder what other gross creatures are crawling around this old house. You decide to head into the kitchen. Clomp, clomp, clomp. You can hear Nick, Debbie, and Connor following you.
You're afraid of a little rat, Nick hisses in your ear, that you're going to be in big trouble later.
You try to ignore Nick, even though your knees shake at his warning. You spot a kerosene lamp on the kitchen table. You pick it up so you can see into the dark corners of the kitchen better. The kitchen is filled with cupboards, closets, and shelves. Anything could be hidden here. You pull open drawer after drawer. Clouds of dust make your eyes itch. Then in the next drawer you open and you see them. Bandages? But are they mummy bandages? You hope they are, shoving several in your pocket. One item off the list, you think. Then a hideous scream cuts through the air. Ah!
Page 12.
Could it be a human scream? You've never heard a human scream that sounded like that. You roll around in the direction of the scream. Debbie! Debbie's the one screaming.
Oh,
She shrieks again and hurries over to you.
can't you read?
Debbie cries. The warts on her face ooze green goo.
This is not what you want. These aren't mummy bandages.
Debbie snatches the bandages from your pocket and tosses them on the floor.
Don't waste time.
She cries. You step back and try to think. There's no way to escape the kitchen. Connor is guarding the doors and Nick is by the window. You have to find the items on the list. You gaze around and then head to a tall, narrow closet. And freeze in horror. A thick pool of something red and sticky is seeping underneath the door. It looks like blood. What do you do now? To open the closet, turn to page 83. To go back and check the dining room again, turn to page 78. Grinch?
Let's open the door.
Brandon?
Open the door.
Josh.
Open the door.
Open sesame on page 83. Your heart thuds as you approach the closet door. The pool of blood grows larger on the floor. Slowly you pull the door open and gasp. There's no dead body in the closet. No dead anything. Only a broken jar. A jar of raspberry jam dripping onto the floor. You sigh with relief and explore the closet further. The shelves are crammed with rusty cans of vegetables and moldy sacks of flour. You quickly search all the shelves but find nothing. Then you spot it, a plastic shoebox on the bottom shelf. You reach down and open it. You can't believe your eyes. Nestled in the center of the box is one dark piece of cloth. Is the skeleton of a human hand. Oh, gross, you moan. You try not to wonder whose hand it is and how it got in this box.
You found our skeleton in the closet.
Debbie sings out. You nod. You're glad you found something on the list, but you don't want to touch the hand. You start to carry the box away from the closet, but Nick stops you.
The list says one bone from a human hand. Not the whole hand, he reminds you.
His reptile tongue darts in and out of his mouth. You stare down at the hand. One bone. Rattle over to page 67. You only need one bone. You take a deep breath and you grab a hold of the skeleton hand. The yellowed finger feels icy cold. You grasp the pinky and twist. It comes loose with a snickering snap. You drop it in your pocket and try not to think about it too much. You glance at the list again. Now all you have to do is find 3 other items. 3 hairs from a werewolf, a straw from a witch's broom, and a piece of Mummy's bandage. The faster the better, you think. You dart out of the kitchen and return to the dining room.
Over here.
You gaze nervously. Debbie whispers from a shadowy corner. See what Debbie wants on page 6. Debbie likes you, man. She's trying to take you on a date after this little monster human action.
Yeah, I'll riz you up.
Debbie is standing by herself in the corner. You figure Nick and Connor must be still in the kitchen. You approach cautiously.
Do you really think this scavenger hunt is for real?
She asks, glancing towards the kitchen. Yeah, you say. You guys promised to let me go if I find the items by midnight. Debbie starts laughing, a hideous cackling laugh.
Whatever, fool.
She cries.
It's a joke. You're never going to make it out.
You don't know whether to believe her or not. What do you mean, you ask? Debbie slithers closer.
I'm on your side.
She whispers.
I used to be a regular kid like you, then I joined the horror club. Now look at what happened to me.
You stare in amazement at Debbie's hideous monster face. Is she for real? Was she really once a kid like you?
I want to help you.
She says.
If you follow me, I'll help you escape.
Alright, if you think Debbie is telling the truth, follow her to page 86. If you think the best is to continue the hunt, turn to page 16. Grinch, where do you want to go?
86.
Okay, Brandon?
I'll do 86 just because I play her.
Josh?
86.
Yeah, so my reasoning here is this. Before the game started, she did tell you to run away. She's been the most sincere, although she could be a two-faced bitch. I highly doubt it. So,
I probably am, not gonna lie.
page 86. I'm going to trust you, you tell Debbie. Please help me get out of here.
Nice choice.
Debbie sneers. She glances over her shoulder, then beckons for you to follow her.
Be quiet.
She warns.
There's no telling what Nick and Connor will do if they find out.
You creep down a long, dark hall behind Debbie. The tarantulas squirm wildly through her hair. You are glad Debbie with her gross purple face is really a friend. Then you reach the end of the hall, and there stand Nick and Connor. Saliva drips from their mouths, and they smack their lips. Then 7-foot-tall Connor lumbers towards you. His enormous arms reach for you. You glance back at Debbie for help. She's your friend, right? Turn to page 38. Wrong!
Tricked you again.
Debbie cries, cackling hideously.
I can't believe you fell for it. Now it's time for you to turn into a monster.
Connor is only inches from you now. You search frantically for a way out. You tuck your head into your chest, close your eyes, and race back down the hall, toward Debbie. You barrel right into her and knock her onto the ground. But Nick and Connor are only steps behind.
Come back.
Debbie wails at you. You run faster, faster, down the dark hallway, footsteps pounding behind you. You have no idea how to get out of this house, and then you see a door, a bright green door, and you turn to page 43. And then if you haven't done so already, you click that subscribe button and ring the bell so you can stay up to date with this podcast. Did I just drop an ad in the middle of this? Yeah, I fucking did. You pull open the green door. You find yourself back in the living room. This house is like a never-ending maze, you think. You glance behind you. No sign of Debbie, Nick, or Connor. You check your watch. It's 10:50 p.m. You have only a little over an hour before you turn into a monster. You're trying to decide what you should do next when you hear a strange noise. Thump, thump, scrape. The noise grows louder and louder. Thump, thump, scrape. You slowly turn and find yourself staring at a mummy. A 6-foot-tall mummy wrapped in old yellow bandages unravel. Its eyeless, mouthless, bandaged face seems to stare back at you. A sour smell invades your nostrils. The smell of decay, of rotting flesh, of death. You gag and hold your nose, and then the mummy turns stiffly and disappears into the hallway. You don't want to follow it, but you need the mummy bandages for the scavenger hunt. You have to follow it. You have no choice. Page 26. I can't believe there's a real mummy in this house, you think to yourself as you chase him down the hallway. The mummy turns a corner you are about to turn too when you hear familiar voices behind a pink door. You peek through the crack in the door and spot Nick, Connor, and Debbie. They seem to be talking about you. The monsters obviously don't know you were there. Should you stop and listen? Maybe you will hear something that will help you escape. Or is it better to follow the mummy? So, Grinch, are you eavesdropping or are you mummy hunting?
Let's go catch her out to the mummy.
Okay, Brandon?
Mummy.
Alright, let's follow the mummy. 94. You turn down the hall after the mummy. There's not much time. You still need 3 more items for the scavenger hunt. There doesn't seem to be any other way to get out of Batwing Hall. As you continue, the putrid smell grows stronger, and then at the end of the hall you see a beautiful gold sarcophagus, and leaning against the wall beside it is the mummy. The mummy's head rests on the case. Strange snorting noises coming from under its bandages. At the start, you realize the mummy noises are snoring. The mummy is asleep. You know that a piece of the mummy's bandage is on the list, but what's the best way to get one? You spot some torn pieces of bandage inside the mummy's case. Should you take a piece from there, or should you try to pull a strip off the sleeping mummy? Either way, you'd better hurry. It's less than an hour until midnight. To take a piece of the bandage from the case, turn to page 117. To tear a strip off the mummy, sneak over at page 39. Grinch, what do you think? Are we pulling from the case or are we taking from the source?
Pulling from the case.
Brandon?
No, you take it from the source.
Josh?
Case.
I'm also thinking case for safety. Sorry, Brandon. Overruled! Going to page 117. You decide to take a piece of bandage from the mummy's case. You tiptoe towards the case. You hold your breath as you pass the sleeping mummy. You know it would be disastrous to wake him. You spot a torn piece of yellow bandage caught in the crack at the bottom of the case. You bend over. Your fingers wrap around the fabric, and a bony hand smashes through the bottom of the case and grabs your wrist. Ah! You scream as you try to wrench free, but the hand has an iron grip. It's pulling you into the mummy's case. You kick wildly. You scream and scream, but it's no use. You're in the mummy case now, and then the lid slams shut. Your chest tightens. You begin to sweat. The little bit of air in the case is hot and stale. I'm going to suffocate, you think. You bang frantically on the lid of the case. Help, you cry. Help! But you know there's no way the three monsters are going to save you. You pound the lid again, and to your surprise, it opens. Turn to page 37. Did we get the bandages, yes or no?
I feel like we probably did.
37. As the mummy case lid creaks open, you bolt up. Everything looks different. You're not in the upstairs hall of the Batwing. You're not in the upstairs hall of Batwing Hall anymore. That's for sure. You jump out of the case and stare some more. You're standing on a long corridor with walls made of stone. It's cold in here, and you shiver as a chill runs down your spine. At the end of the corridor, you spot a door. You begin to walk toward it, and then you hear strange voices chatting. And then through the door, a line of black-haired men in long white robes march in. Their eyes seem to cut right through you as you grow nearer. Chanting, the same spooky verse over and over again. What's going on, you demand? Where am I? But the men don't answer you. They form a circle around you, and they slowly move in closer. Nightmare, 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 nightmare. 58. Your heart pounds wildly as the chanting men surround you. A deep, gravelly voice calls out. A tall, white-bearded man dressed in long blue robes has magically appeared behind you. He is holding a clay tray with pots and jars and some creepy instruments you've never seen before. Who are you? You cry. What's happening?
I am the wizard, the man says. You are in the palace of Ramen Lama, an unimportant Egyptian king. He points out, chanting to the man. These are the king's priests, and the legend decrees that anyone who enters these chambers must be turned into a mummy.
A mummy? You cry out, but I came here by accident.
No matter, Scuzzle, it is prepared to be mummified.
Wait, you plead. You give the wizard your most pathetic look. He takes pity on you.
I will give you one chance to escape.
The wizard sets the tray down and reaches into his robe and pulls out his big smelly willy. He reaches into his robe and pulls out 2 stones. In his right hand is a glowing red stone. His left hand is a dull gray rock. One stone is an enchanted stone, he explains. It will return you to where you came from. The other stone is an ordinary stone. Pick one. Alright, guys, this is a trap, but go ahead, Grinch, what do you think?
Probably red.
I think gray.
Brandon? I'm also going gray. Here's the thing. If one's just an ordinary stone and one's magic, why would the magic one look magic? We're gonna go to page 34 with the gray rock. Sorry, my friend, you've been voted out. I'll take the gray rock, you tell the wizard. You figure the glowing red stone is too obvious. It must be a trick. He drops the gray rock in your hand. You close your eyes. Home, you think. Take me home. You open your eyes. Nothing happens. The wizard lifts an instrument from the tray. It's long and shiny and oh my god, we got fucking played. It's long and shiny and comes to a razor-sharp point at the end. Wait, you cry, wait! There's no way anyone's going to make a mummy out of me, you decide. Your eyes dart wildly around the corridor. You spot a small door at the other end. You charge through the circle of priests and barge through the door. Oh wow, you're standing in the room the size of a football field. Its floors are made of gleaming pink marble. The walls sparkle with real gold and jeweled lamps hanging from the ceiling. A large throne stands at the far end of the room, and on it sits a very old man with a short gray beard and a crown of golden leaves perched on his head, surrounding him by dozens of bare-chested men gripping spears. The old man must be King Ramalama Ding Dong, you realize. Then you hear the priest pounding footsteps behind you. Terrified, you cry out to the king, "Help!" Page 52. They got us. I really thought that the gray stone would be the magic one. Maybe the magic stone was the friends we made along the way, like in Madam Web.
Yeah.
Before the king can speak, one of the priests throws his arms around your throat.
Come with me.
Snarls. the king orders before the priest can drag you too far.
Who are you?
I'm just a kid, you try to explain. I don't know how I got here, but I really want to go home.
You'll let the intruder go.
The king orders the priest, then he turns to you.
I don't know how to help you return,
He admits.
but I like you. I'd be honored if you would agree to stay here with me.
You don't know what to do. Should you stay with the king or leave the palace? Choices here. Page 24, accept the king's offer. If you decide to leave the palace, turn to page 89.
24 because I'm the king.
Grinch?
24.
Josh?
I'm saying 89.
I'm also feeling 24. I want to see what the king has to offer. I'm about to be a prince in Egypt.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen, if I get to see them like seal the Egyptian gods, I'm good with it. Unfortunately, my love for Yu-Gi-Oh! Drags me to the side. So 24 it is. Okay, you tell the Egyptian king. I'll stay.
Wonderful.
The king exclaims. He steps down from his throne.
Follow me.
He says. You stick your tongue out at the priest, then you turn around and follow the king from the throne room down a long hallway into a small room. The room has dark marble walls and a low stone ceiling. In the center of the room is a stone table. Your legs begin to tremble when you see what rests at the top. The tray with the strange instruments. The mummy-making instruments.
Lie down on the table.
The king commands you. But, you said I was going to stay with you, you protest.
That's right.
The king agrees.
But I am old. I will die soon. And I want to bring you to the afterlife with me. You need to be mummified now.
The king calls for the priests. They dash in and strap you to the cold table. You kick and yell, but no one pays attention. They're too busy prepping the bandages. Your bandages. One priest holds 2 instruments over your head. They look like a long and skinny hook and a skinny spoon. What are you going to do, you cry? Page 120. The king points to the instruments.
First, we need to remove your brain.
My brain, you screech.
Yes.
The king says calmly.
The skinny hook is pushed up your nose until it reaches your brain. Then we wiggle the hook back and forth, back and forth. Make your brain mushy.
You break out in a cold sweat. Your heart hammers away in your chest as the king continues to explain.
And we take out the long spoon and slide it up your nose and scoop out your brain a little bit at a time.
Your stomach feels like it's about to heave. No, this can't be happening to me, you think. You flail about wildly, trying to escape.
No, don't make a fuss.
The king says.
It is a great honor.
Then the king nods to the priest and they begin to unroll the bandages. Too bad, it looks as if this time you've gotten a little too wrapped up in your adventure. Page 52 to page 89. We're down to 2 lives, boys. We already died once. There's no way you're hanging around with some Egyptian king. Thanks for the invitation, you say politely, but I'd like to leave. The king shows you to the door and you step outside into a beautiful garden filled with flowers. Red, purple, and orange. Flowers of every kind and every hue. The sky shines a brilliant blue and you fill your lungs with sweet-smelling air. You want to jump for joy. You spot something familiar in the distance, something leaning against a tree. A mummy case. It looks like the same mummy case that you found in Batwing Hall.
Get him! There he is!
Someone shouts from behind you. You reel around. It's the king. Uh-oh. You mumble to yourself. It looks as if the king has changed his mind. His men come charging towards you. You gaze frantically around the garden. At the far edge is a thicket of tall reeds. You could hide there. Quick, do something. Do you hide in the mummy's case, go to page 80, or do you run for the reeds? Page 99.
I think you go to page 80.
Brandon?
Page 80.
Grinch?
80.
We're going to the mummy's case. Page 80. You dash towards the mummy case. You quickly jump in and slam the lid shut. You stand stiffly in the darkness, scarcely daring to breathe, waiting. You can hear the king's guards coming closer. Did they see you hide? No, their footsteps thunder past you, and you exhale with relief. You wait several minutes wondering if it's okay to climb out. You decide to wait a little bit more when the lid suddenly springs open. You poke your head out in terror, but no one's there, and the blue sky and flowers are gone. You're in a dimly lit hallway. You step out and almost knock into a mummy. A sleeping mummy. Oh no, you cry. I'm back in Batwing Hall. You glance at your watch. Only half an hour left before you turn into a monster. You have to complete the scavenger hunt. You've got to get moving. You need to grab one piece of the sleeping mummy's bandage. There's no time to waste. Page 39.
One piece is real.
Yeah, the one piece is real, baby!
That's what I'm saying.
You hold your breath and approach the sleeping mummy. What will happen if you wake it? You move carefully, inch by inch. You reach your hand out toward the mummy. You jump back as the mummy lets out a disgusting snore. You pause, then reach out again. This time you manage to grab a small piece of bandage that is dangling from its left arm. Quickly you pull. The bandage rips free, and the mummy didn't even move. What a sleeper! You have 2 of the 4 items on the list. the human bone, and the mummy's bandage. Now you only need a straw from the witch's broom and 3 hairs from a werewolf, but time is ticking. I've searched the downstairs pretty well, you think to yourself, so the other items must be upstairs. You spot a narrow, circular staircase behind the mummy case. Up, and around you go. You're getting really dizzy, and the air is ice cold up here. Your teeth begin to chatter. Suddenly, the staircase ends in the middle of a musty corridor. You must turn left or right. Which way are you going? If you're wearing a sweater or sweatshirt, turn to page 29. Otherwise, head to page 68. Who's wearing a sweater?
I am wearing a sweater, dang.
Anybody else?
I'm wearing a sweatshirt.
All right, then we're going that way. I'm out here sweating my ass off, but guess what? 3 of you are wearing it, so page 29.
That's pretty chill.
You turn to the right. The walls are covered with dirty, dingy wallpaper. It flakes under your fingers as you grope your way through the hall. You hope you are going in the right direction, but you have no idea where to find a witch's broom or a werewolf. Suddenly you spot a doorway and you hear a faint beeping noise coming from the room. As you move closer, flashes of light escape the entrance. You enter the room. Oh no, there's Nick, Debbie, and Connor. You're about to run into them, but you notice the monsters are sitting around a large screen. Debbie and Connor have controls in their hands, and you realize they're playing a video game.
Stop, Connor.
Debbie shrieks.
Stop cheating.
Shut up.
Connor retorts.
All I had to do is get 3 apples, and then I can bomb you back to level 1.
You watch in amazement. You recognize the game they're playing. Mud monsters. You can't believe that. These 3 hideous monsters are playing your favorite video game, and playing it badly. It gives you an idea. The idea is a dangerous and very risky one, but if it works, it might save your life. Turn to page 121. Nick suddenly whirls around and spots you.
What are you looking at, he snarls?
You ignore him. Hey, Connor, you call out to the giant monster. You get more points if you squash the grapes before you get the apples.
Who asked you?
Connor booms, but he clicks the controller in his hand and tries your suggestion.
It worked.
He cries in surprise. Then he grumbles.
Must have been a lucky guess.
No, not at all, you tell him. You just stink at this game.
What?
Connor roars. He bolts out of his chair. His head brushes the ceiling.
Why, you puny little...
You're so lousy at the game, anyone could beat you. You go on. Even me. Connor's face turns red. His giant arms reach for you. You dodge them. Are you afraid to play me? You continue even though your knees are shaking. As you had hoped, Connor grows angrier and angrier.
I'm not afraid of anything.
He roars. Then let's have a contest, you offer. Whoever gets the most points wins. If I win, you have to let me go. If you win, you can turn me into a monster right now, okay? Turn to page 7 to find out what Connor said.
You're on.
Connor growls.
But you go last.
Then he plugs in 2 more sets of controllers. Hey, what are you doing, you cry.
These are for Nick and Debbie.
He replies. No fair, you protest. I said I'd play against you.
It's all us or no deal.
Connor snarls. What can you say? You nod and sigh. Sure, okay,
Nick plays first.
Connor announces.
And remember, you have to beat all of us to win.
Nick begins to play. You are not too worried, though. You've seen Debbie play. She couldn't even handle level 1. How good could Nick be? Nick makes his first move. Uh-oh, Nick is excellent. Connor and Debbie bomb out early, but you and Nick move quickly through the levels. Finally, you both reach level 12, the top level. You've reached this level before. Beads of sweat trickle down your face. Up, down, jump, right, left, shoot. You operate the controls like a pro, but then the mud monsters throw out a tidal wave of mud. Do you jump the wave or do you try to duck under it? Alright, so if we're going to jump the wave, page 20. If we're going to duck, page 72.
Jump.
Okay, Brandon?
Jump.
Josh?
Jump.
Guess we're jumping. You maneuver the controllers quickly and you jump over the mud wave. You made it. Now you can just destroy the mud monsters. You'll win the game. You concentrate hard and focus on the screen. You move through the snapping turtles and sea monsters. Then at the right moment, you drop the bombs you saved from level 7. Boom! You blow up the mud monster's nest. Congratulations, the screen blinks. You have destroyed the mud monsters. I win, you cry.
I don't believe it.
Nick yells, throwing down his controls.
How could you lose like that?
Debbie shrieks at Nick.
How can you let a kid beat you?
Connor snarls. Everyone starts arguing. Debbie and Connor yell at Nick. Nick screams back. They have all forgotten about you. You decide not to wait around for them to show you out. You're sure you can't trust these monsters. You make a break for the door. You dodge out the hall and you race towards the stairs. Through the downstairs rooms to the front door. You're almost free. You grab the doorknob and begin to pull, when someone grabs your shoulder and drags you back. See who got you on page 116. There goes life number 2. You spin around and see who's clutching your shoulder, and you can't believe your eyes. It's a one-handed skeleton. Your heart begins to pound, and you hear bones begin to rattle, louder than a skeleton's bones. You're terrified, but you're angry too. You won that game fair and square. You deserve to leave. You kick the skeleton in the shin bone, hard. His hand drops from your shoulder as he grabs his leg and shrieks in pain. You jerk the door open and race outside. You sprint down the street, up your driveway, into your nice, safe house. You made it out of Batwing Hall. You practically crawl into your living room. Your little brother is sitting on the floor, a video game controller in his hand. He's playing Mud Monsters. He begs. Sure, you say. Little brother, watch out. Up, down, jump, left, right, splat. The Mud Monster destroys you with a super mud ball. Oh well, you win some, lose some. Alright, so technically, we didn't run out of lives. We got out safely. So, do you guys want to end it here then?
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
Okay, so then let's talk about it and rate it. What'd you guys think of Batwing Hall? Let's start with Grinch.
Here's the thing. The book so far, it was good. There was only 2 problems with it. Number 1, we did not see no bats. It's called Batwing Hall, and we barely seen one. I guess there maybe one in another ending.
Mm-hmm.
And also we don't get to see like the ghost of the guy who lives there.
No, I see what you're saying. I think that was an option. I just don't think we got to that. Josh, what'd you think of this one?
It was pretty good. I mean, again, there was no bats, but then again, they could have been in a different part of the story.
Brandon, what's your thoughts?
I liked it. It wasn't as good, in my opinion, as TikTok Your Dad. I think I had more fun with TikTok Your Dad, just story-wise.
I agree,
Yeah.
which I was not expecting. But then again, I wasn't expecting a lot for this one, considering I'd never read it before, and I was not sure what I was getting myself into. But I agree, TikTok Your Dad was more fun than this. Grinch, if you had to score this book on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you score it?
Like an 8. It's a lot more fun than I thought it would be, but not as fun as TikTok Your Dad.
I agree. Josh, if you had to score this book, what would you score it?
7.
Okay. Brandon?
6.
Guess that just leaves me then. Okay, so we have 8, 7, 6. I'm with Brandon. I'm going to give it a 6. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. That gives us 27. Let's divide it by 4 for our average. 6.75. Rounding up, we're going to give this book a soft 7, which is a C+. So, not the worst Give Yourself book, but definitely not as enjoyable as the last 2. But, you know, win some, lose some, multiple choice, choose some, and that's what literally happened here. Grinch, closing statements.
This thing, if you ever find someone who dares you to go to the house and play a game, just leave. Just flee.
Josh, closing statements.
Don't go into haunted houses with men.
Brandon's closing statements.
I don't want to talk about be careful what you wish for.
Well, unfortunately, that is the next book on our roster. But hey, we got through that turd known as The Ghost Next Door. We're going to trudge through this one. Let's just have a shit fest.
Yeah.
Let's tear it apart.
We have a couple more turds ahead of us.
So, with that being said, look forward to our review of Be Careful What You Wish For next time. Thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already, click that subscribe button. It helps you stay up to date, and it gives Daddy YouTube money, and Daddy needs it.
They'll need it.
Join us next week for the next episode, and we'll scare you in the next one.